Okay. The high side for these guys? We're on? We're on. All right, good evening, folks. This is the call to order of the April 11, 2018 Board of Appeals meeting. It is now 7:06, and I'm calling the meeting to order. We have 3 cases on the docket tonight, the first one being a continued matter.
4 members. State.
Oh, yeah, I'll get into that. We do have 4 members. I believe the first applicant is aware of that, was indicated last time you were here. We have 4 members. So if you wanted to move forward to a vote on a deliberation tonight, you can do that. Just be aware that most of the applications, and I see all of them tonight, require a vote of 4 members to pass. So there's 1 missing, so that means you'd have to get a unanimous vote. If you don't want to take that chance, then you can get a continuance, which is routinely granted by this board in deference to the applicant, to the next meeting when there would be a full complement of board members here. Having said that, the first case, and I remember specifically that issue was raised to the applicant since it is a continued case. It's continued from March 14th. Case 2817, Michael Welch, map 54, parcel 41, to acquire a special permit in accordance with 6.1.6.4 to demolish a single-story dwelling and construct a 2-story dwelling 8 feet from the side yard lot line, 7 feet from Glen Road, and 12 feet from Road Street for the property located at 95 Glen Road. Michael, how are you?
Very good. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Are you
I'll start out with a month-old apology for getting a little overreacted last time. So to all you guys, sorry about that.
No
I took
problem.
it to another level. It shouldn't have been that, but that's cool.
No problem.
Yeah, it's a new day, new place.
New night,
Just want to throw that out there. That's all.
same case, new night.
Very cool.
Okay, but so where we left off, I think, is that you were going to somehow maybe present us with a reconfiguration or a new plan that maybe addressed some of the issues that previously were raised by some members of the board. So I'm going to kick it to you and let me know what you have for us tonight and how it may have changed from your previous plan.
For sure. You want me to hand you the plans and then talk? You want to tell you?
However you want to do it.
I have a copy of the 4 elevations that I would like to do. We left off that the, basically where the board, or some of the members of the board would prefer me not to build a house as high as I was proposing. And, sorry. It's just, you go clockwise, that's how it works. Really? Shoot, all right. So, when the board members would prefer me to do something more like a ranch or a split, this is a split level I've built before, and those are the elevations. I would think where it's only a 1-story house with a knee wall, that's considerably lower unless I go to a ranch, but because the house is only 20 foot wide by 44, I think that number comes out to 880 square feet. We'd like to finish off a portion of the basement.
It's 20 by what?
20 by 44. We'd like to finish off a portion of the basement to get the square footage up. On the right side, you'll see I wrote optional garage because there is a paper street there. And at some point, if it did get built out, the garage could access that paper street at some point. But right now, we have no driveways or anything proposed to it. And even if they wanted lawn storage, I have no place for a shed on the whole property. So the garage space would be not so much for a car at this point, but they would have the shed option in that garage. So even though it's a garage door, there's no access to it for a car right now. It would be used for a shed.
So you're
Is the thought process.
So you're indicating that what you proposed tonight addresses the height concern that had been previously raised by a member.
Right, and I'd like to follow through too that, yes, exactly.
Okay.
And
What's the difference, just so I know? What's the height differential from this proposal?
about the height of this table. I still strongly feel where I felt last that building a colonial on that within a neighborhood that has multiple other colonials is not more detrimental to the neighborhood. And that's the point I was trying to get across. But that being said, I can't
So you're talking about 10 to 12 feet?
No, about the height. I think from
Oh,
what
the height of the table, not the length.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry, the height of the table.
Okay.
To go from the Cape style I had, down to this here, it's 3 more feet, you know, so, and I'm probably 10 to 12 feet lower than the I don't want to say that number because I don't know, but considerably lower than the 35-foot height restriction that area requires, so. But I do want to comment on one thing that was said in the last meeting. I tried to get the minutes from Tony today from 31 King Street, but the 31 King Street design was actually designed, or the input was from a board member who couldn't be here tonight, so I pretty much mimicked that. But then I was told that that's a horrible design on this house, so that's where it came from. Was
Who said it was a horrible design? Not that I want to go into this direction.
I don't either.
Design is not something we deal with.
At all.
We deal with dimension.
But the 31 King Street plan that I used, and I started with the Colonial there, and then we dropped it down. It was a lot of direction from Tony isn't here tonight, but that's where it came from. So that's all. So that's where that design.
Well, I mean, I'll give you
That's
credit.
all.
I mean, I'll give you credit. You knew that Tony wasn't going to be here tonight, and you still addressed a concern that he had, which I think is
Right. That's all.
It mitigates to
Right, and
to
that's-
you as a builder. I appreciate that.
Right.
I didn't have a particular problem with it, but if a member of a board has a problem
That's all.
and you address it, kudos. So, is there anybody on the board who wishes to have any comments or questions of the applicant? I believe I've closed the public hearing on this, so at this point, we're just, you've open to ask the applicant any questions, raise any concerns, have a dialogue, and then we would deliberate to a result. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I just noticed when I made copies, I wrote no deck with an arrow on the rear elevation.
Yeah.
There's no deck there in the rear. There's no deck there.
So that drawing is erroneous then?
Yeah,
Or-
the
or
drawing piece is not there.
Okay.
The deck is not there.
Looks like almost like a stairwell, but that's a little deck?
Right.
All right, so that's not going to be represented in the final build?
Exactly.
So is there a slider?
On the
or-
rear elevation, that'll be a double window and no deck out there.
Oh,
The
so-
only
so
thing.
the egress will be the bottom.
Exactly.
Yeah, the only thing that I would address, though, and again, I'm showing deference to Tony.
Excuse me.
I'm showing deference to Tony, who's not here, but I know, I can hear him speaking to me from beyond, that whoever, if this proposal is brought to a motion, I would suggest that the motion make note that that plan, the deck as shown on the plan, is actually not going to be in the final.
And not a slider, but windows.
Correct. I would just raise that to whoever may decide to make the motion, because the final plan
Yes,
should
okay.
correspond to what's being built there.
Okay.
Okay, anybody have any questions of the applicant?
I do. So we were talking about the driveway.
Yes.
And there was, Tony, some information on the parking, and how large it was.
Okay.
So how,
Sure, there's, what I'm required to propose is 2 parking spaces by, I think it's the bylaw or whatever law it is, and I have 2 parking spaces. And
Yeah,
to
but is
to put this site on perspective, there's a dirt road doesn't go anywhere. I'm assuming they're gonna be parking on the side road also. But
But when you
that being
sell
said,
it-
I don't have to,
But the garage would be considered as one parking space, wouldn't it?
then I'd have to show a driveway to it. That's why it's just
Oh.
it's just a garage door, because there's no shed anywhere you can put in the property unless it's in the front yard, which we're not gonna do, right? So we said an optional garage door, you know, with today's market, if somebody wants it or not, that's why it says optional.
absolutely, that was pretty good of you. I think that's a
I
good
had nowhere
idea.
else to put it,
To be-
so.
yeah, to be able to put
I like to take credit for it, but it was actually my daughter's idea, so she, we
Yeah.
fight over who has
And
the
her
best
name's
design.
Jackie, too.
Yeah. Who has the best design idea.
She should have raised the design when she showed up on your behalf, we might not be here. All right, anybody else have any other questions or comments?
So the actual footprint that you had the last time is the same?
Footprint is exactly the same.
You just lowered it,
Lowered the house to a split level versus a cape roof. That's
so there's no increase in the,
nothing at all. It's exactly the footprint that's on this original plot plan you have.
So the one thing is not having that dimension of like how high this is.
Sure, do you want me to put a dimension on that?
Yeah, do you have it?
So I'll direct the question to the board in general, but I think Jackie, the plan shows a 7-pitch roof. If I bumped it up to a 9-pitch, 2 per 10 is 20 more inches higher, so let me just do some quick, can I do some quick math to that dimension?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's what we have, we had 7,
7 every foot is 70 inches, 90 inches, 9, 5, and 17. At the height that it shows now would be 23 feet. If I bump it to a 9 pitch to give it a little more curb appeal, it would be 25 feet high, from ridge to finished grade.
To the finished
Which is the
grade.
finished grade
Yeah.
on this plan here.
Yeah.
And that, to be more specific, the finished grade of the front yard, not the back, because the backyard's 4 feet higher, so.
Can I ask a question? Which side is the front facing Glen?
Windows.
The windows?
Mhm.
Okay, I'm just something. Okay.
Anybody else? Any other member of the board have a question or comment, or care to make a motion?
It's still kind of hard to, without having like that, those dimensions to see what it's gonna look like.
I'm not sure what,
To
So
see
do you
how
want us-
high it's gonna be. I mean, like, so we have this picture, which,
that's old, that's
yes,
gone.
this is all. So,
So that's the same picture, I can write 25 feet if you want.
It's 25 feet on this?
If I go from a
What I would
Yeah.
suggest is, if a certain member has an issue with the specifics of the drawing, or something that's not on the drawing that they wish should be on the drawing, in the form of a motion, you can also put the dimension in the form of a motion. So the height being
No higher
no
than.
higher than. That way, so then it's clear on the record and the decision is clear as to what the dimensional limits of the height are. It's not on here. So you're not gonna find it here.
Right.
So, but if he's coming up with a number and it's acceptable to you, you can put that, or someone can put that in the form of a motion, so the decision will state the height limitation of the property.
I come up with roughly no more than 28, and that should be enough for him to work with.
Yeah.
You know, from the backyard, so minus, what he's doing for back from the front, 28 from the rear.
Do you wanna make a
Should have
motion?
enough.
You'd indicated you wanted to make a motion.
Can we
can I
live with
ask you a
that?
question though?
Yeah.
So,
That's a cool question.
well, just general, I guess, Mike. So, on the very first plan that we had, how high was that?
Very first, I think it was 30 something.
I'm trying to like figure out the differential of. So this was the first one.
I really don't know which one was first, to be honest with you. I've had three plans, so, but I know that I was proposed a colonial, then I proposed a cape, now I'm proposing a split. Then the next thing down would be a ranch, then a flat roof, then a cellar dwelling.
Then a doghouse.
So I'd like to
Doghouse
stop-
is after that.
I'm not sure, subterranean.
I don't wanna go in that
Yeah.
direction.
So that, I mean, it's lower than a cape. It's a split level home, standard.
When you look at that,
Yeah,
there's a big difference.
right, that's the last one is
Between that and the
when I
other
built
one.
it. It's
Oh, yeah.
2 steps out of the ground, it's 2-story house, it's low, it's a nice product for the street. It blends with, I counted the multiple colonials in the area. It would be lower than basically every neighbor, or comparable to every neighbor.
So, in comparison to the one across the street, will it be much higher or about the same?
I will be, if you go to the house
The new
across the
one,
street, he did a nice job. It's a cape on the front, but if you go to the back, it's a colonial and a walkout basement, so it's 2.5 stories in the back. So to answer your questions, I will be lower than the one across the street,
Okay.
for sure,
If
without a doubt.
Okay. I'm satisfied.
Any other members of the board
Yeah,
care?
so I guess I'm still not clear. So, when you say no higher than, so to the applicant, what is that dimension? It will be no higher than how many feet?
I picked 26, Ray said 28.
Well,
I'm
you're-
okay.
You're the applicant.
Yes, I'm okay with 26. I'm comfortable with that number. 26, average grade between the front and the back, or you wanna just call it front? I'm trying to present something that you guys are gonna say, we like it, cause I need you to vote on it. I would like you to vote on something that gets approved, so
So you're saying no higher than 26 feet?
I'm fine with that.
So is that 26 feet measuring, starting from the foundation, the knee wall up?
From finished grade, up.
Which would be about the knee wall, right? Or is-
Well, the knee wall is above
Above the-
so, you have a foundation, and then your knee wall would start above that. The dirt below the, like the ground, the grass area, so it's the top of grass.
Yeah.
If that
Oh,
makes
okay,
sense?
okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
and we would go to the mean level, which is, how Al does it, the height, so.
Yeah.
26 feet to the mean level, I guess we would call it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that cool?
That's cool. Yeah. So the
Can I say
26,
cool?
we
Oh,
can
yeah,
do
whatever he wants, I was
26?
just giving him
Okay.
the extra 2 feet for the rear. Only because-
I would like to go 2.5 feet, but I don't wanna push the issue that we don't get to there, so I'm
Yeah,
fine with that.
I mean, I was gonna say maximum 28 feet.
Yeah, but the applicant wants 26.
Yeah,
why
yeah,
are we
that's all.
saying
I'm
Yeah,
just saying,
26
I
is
mean,
good.
originally I
I
said
mean,
28,
yeah.
but if he
No,
can
I
live
get
with
it.
26,
I'm fine.
hey, he's the builder.
I'll just say 27.
Okay.
I'm just, trying to give him
That's
a
the
little bit
Solomon
room.
choice.
I'm just trying to give him a little bit room
26
for comfort.
26 gave me a little wiggle room already, right?
Yeah, I
appreciate
mean,
it.
I'm looking at this and figuring out, even if you had 7-foot ceiling here and, another 7 up by the time
Yeah.
you strap it and finish, then your peak height, for the roof, and then your knee wall here, I mean, you're right at what you say, 26 feet.
Right,
You know?
to the mean level,
Yeah,
whatever Al does.
you
that's
get
fine.
tight.
Yeah, and that's, this plan will work too, it's a smaller version. My opinion as the applicant, I don't feel what I propose is more detrimental to the neighborhood, but, that's not I'm not the guy voting for me, so that's fine.
I bet you wish you were, though.
Okay.
Anybody else have any comments or questions, or care to make a motion on this application?
I'll let you make the motion.
Oh, okay, I will make the motion to accept, let's see, case 28-17, to acquire a special permit in accordance with 6.1.6.4 to demolish a single-story dwelling and construct a, well, is it two-story?
Split.
So should we, put the style in there?
I just put, it is a split,
Split level, yes,
so I
split
do
level home, yeah.
20 by 44 split,
Split dwelling,
no higher than
26.
26 feet.
Can I just, before anybody seconds it, I just have a question. Do we really want to put in the actual decision, the type of the house the applicant's gonna
No, we
build?
don't.
I gotta tell you, height, I understand, people want
As
height.
proposed,
Why don't we make reference to
The plan.
the April 11th plan, and if you want to put a height limitation on it within the form of the motion, that's fine.
Okay.
I feel a little queasy when we're starting to approve like different styles of houses in the actual decision. I don't like that. It's going down a bad road, in my opinion. So, I mean, you're making the motion. If you want to make that motion, I'm not going to vote for it. But you can make it. I would prefer,
Thanks for the
that,
heads
Please
up.
don't make that motion.
well, I'm being
No,
honest with
no,
you.
I
And you need a
appreciate it.
unanimous vote, so it would fail. So I'm just saying, if we put, the height restriction seems to be the sticking point that everybody had.
Yeah.
The applicant has come up with a height that everyone seems to be okay with. We can approve this drawing,
With-
inserting in the motion the height restriction, and I think that would probably be palatable,
okay.
for me anyway.
So let me ask you this, so would it change, like how, would he be able to
No, because
change what we're seeing?
You-
Or-
We're voting on this plan.
Yeah.
on this
Okay,
plan as revised.
Okay,
Right.
okay.
As
so-
Mr. Chairman,
revised.
can I just ask a question on that?
Yep.
since we don't, you know, I absolutely agree. Putting what type of house could be, you know,
Okay, we can
like I
put
said,
that on.
colonial, whatever. Right, you're absolutely right. However, should we put maximum on the foundation size, length and width?
Well, yeah, because
We
we
went
have,
through that on, across the street.
sorry.
we
if you
have
remember.
20 by 44.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
20 by
you put it
40.
in there. Okay.
Sorry, and the only thing we'll add is the part that isn't added.
Right, correct, the 26
And-
feet.
Okay, so the two, let's see, so 20 by 44.
Four, no
No
higher.
higher than 26 feet, no deck on the back.
As, well, as revised, or do we
Right.
wanna?
I mean, I can help you craft it. I would just say we're voting to approve the plan of April 11th with a height restriction of 26 feet and without the deck, the side deck, which is represented on the plan, shall not be in the final building.
As well as the slider.
Tony, can I
And the
just-
slider.
On the height,
And
Al does it to the mean level, which is a new thing, whatever, that's fine, whatever, what that is, but
Yeah,
it's him.
So the only thing I
Okay.
have a problem with is the what difference does it make whether this is a slider or not?
well, the slider means it's a door, so now you have to have egress.
I don't have to, I could put a slider with the safety rail, so
Yeah.
it could
Oh,
be either or.
okay, yeah.
So I don't think
Yeah,
the
so
slider
no,
should
you
be.
don't do
Yeah.
the slider.
No.
Oh,
But
I
no,
thought-
it's the deck that it's,
Yes.
that's in question.
Oh, so you don't wanna have no slider? I thought,
Yeah.
you said he was putting a window there.
Well, it doesn't, why would it matter?
What, I got put on the spot, like, you got to put the deck and the slider, and like,
Whatever.
again, it could be either or, they could put a safety rail that, just for open space.
Yeah.
but-
Oh, okay. Alright, I guess I don't care.
We make sliders
So-
anyways, like I did, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's very common, some, people do it, but I'm not even saying that's what I will do, but it is an option.
Right, it's an option that they can put.
Okay, so do we wanna read it back, just so we know?
So
what
it's
we're
gonna be,
saying?
special permit for, however it was written, to construct a two-story dwelling, is that, it's still a two-story, isn't it? No.
No,
Well,
it's not.
no, it's.
Well, is it gonna be livable in two floors? It would have to be two-story, correct?
From a
That's
real
what I-
estate
that's what I
perspective, the
mean.
basement level isn't considered, living space from
Oh, they
a,
tax it?
The split level is reference to the stairs, cause the stairs are split interior.
Can I interrupt? I've been on this board for a dozen years. It never used to be this tough.
I know.
It never used to be this tough. And if it's gonna be this tough moving forward, you better bring a sleeping bag to these meetings, because we're gonna be going on way into the night. It's not the chairman's usual practice to make a motion. I can suggest maybe the way that it should be made. And I would say that we vote to approve the application based upon
The plan.
the plan of April 11th without the deck and slider and with a height restriction no greater than 26 feet. It being no more detrimental to the neighborhood.
Neighborhood.
Now, since I don't make that motion, I'll throw it out there for somebody else to adopt it.
Well, we were reading it back.
To approve the special permit for, to demolish and reconstruct a 20 by 44 dwelling without deck, no higher than 26 feet high. No more detriment, am I,
Right, but when you, okay, note without deck on left
As
side.
represented on the plan.
As represented on the plan, please,
without
'cause-
deck
yes, thank you,
as represented on plan.
thank you.
And that motion was made by Jackie.
I mean,
Yeah,
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Bye,
Go forth.
thank you.
thank you
Don't
so
turn
much.
back, you'll turn into a pillar of salt.
Can I start tomorrow, or is there some waiting period? Thank you very much.
You got it. Good luck.
so this plan I am keeping, and that will be part of the file.
Okay, the next case on the docket is a new case, new matter, case 918. Lorraine Church, map 8, parcel 1B, to acquire a special permit in accordance with 6.6.7.7 groundwater protection district for the property located at 102 Aldrich Road. Ms. Church, I presume?
Yes.
Hi, how are you tonight?
Good, how are you?
Good. Why don't you, you already heard that we only have 4 members here, so you need a unanimous vote.
Yep.
I will just tell you off the record, if it's nothing crazy, you know, I don't see that being a problem, but you should be aware of that.
Okay,
If you choose to get it continued, you can. If you wanna move forward, you can do that as well. What would you
I
prefer?
think we'll move forward.
Okay. So why don't you tell us what you're looking for?
We're planning to build a garage, two-car attached garage. We are in the groundwater protection district and already over the 15% impervious area. We're increasing by 0.7% with the new plan. The engineer has designed the roof drain infiltration system for the garage to mitigate that. So we're kind of hoping that that will be enough for the zoning bylaw.
Okay, I will, just for everyone's benefit, when we have these cases, they do go through administratively the town engineer, who has issued an interoffice memorandum dated April 6th to this board. Paul Looney is, in his memorandum, indicates the applicant proposes to construct an addition to an existing single-family residence located at 102 Aldrich Road, which would render more than 15% of the parcel impervious, 20%. An appropriate stormwater management plan, calculations, and detail sheet have been provided to demonstrate compliance with section 6.6.7.7 of the zoning bylaw. The infiltration best management practice proposed for the addition to the family dwelling appears adequate to meet the purposes of the groundwater protection district. Thus, the engineering division recommends that the special permit be granted for the above referenced parcel. And further, while I'm at it, the Board of Appeals was provided with the planning board recommendation on this case dated April 4th, wherein at its meeting on Tuesday, April 3rd, 2018, the planning board voted to recommend approval of this application. So, looks like you got the imprimatur from both the engineer and the planning board. I would open it up first to the board for any questions or comments of the applicant.
So there's an existing garage there now?
There's a one-car
You can
garage.
take that down?
Yes. Yeah.
I'm good.
Okay, anything further from anybody? No? Okay, now I'm gonna open up the public hearing. If there's anybody here that wishes to be heard on this application, please rise, state your name and where you live, and then let us know what you'd like to say. Anybody? Going once, going twice. Public hearing is closed. I'm gonna kick it back to the board for any further questions or deliberations or motions.
I make a motion that we approve it for a special permit on the accordance with 66.77 groundwater protection district for property located as 102 Aldridge Road as presented to the board tonight.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
That motion has been seconded. All those in favor? Aye. It's unanimous.
Great.
Did great.
Thank you
Good
very
luck.
much.
You made a good choice.
Thanks.
You chose wisely. Okay.
Can I have that back?
Yep. And then the final case on the docket tonight is case 1018, 3D Builders LLC, map 44, parcel 72, to acquire a special permit in accordance with 6.1.6.44 to demolish and reconstruct a non-conforming dwelling 30 feet from Taplin Avenue, 11.9 feet from both side yard lot lines, where 15 feet is required, for the property located at 70 Taplin Avenue. Attorney Peterson, how are you?
Mr. Chairman, how are you?
I'm doing well. What do you got for us tonight?
Members of the board, Attorney Robert Peterson, 314 Main Street, Wilmington, for the applicant, 3D Builders. The principal of 3D Builders is Dion DeJesus, who's with me this evening. As indicated in the application, Mr. Chairman, this is a special permit to demolish an existing two-story dwelling and to construct a 2.5-story dwelling on a lot having insufficient lot width on Taplin Avenue. The existing dwelling, if you take a look at the plot plan that I submitted with the application, Mr. Chairman, and
Which one, Bob? I see two of them.
there's
One's-
actually, Dan, the first one is kind of difficult to read. It's the proposed house and an overlay of the existing house.
Okay.
The second one is the one with the slash that says existing on it.
Is that the one that's dated February
That's the
19th?
existing.
Correct.
Okay, got it.
The existing house is 6.5 feet from the nearest residential dwelling, which belongs to Mr. and Mrs. Kelly, who are here this evening. The opposite side, which is currently 13.8 feet, abuts York Street, which is a paper street. If you look in the upper portion of the existing plot plan, you can see that most of the area in York Street, which is the paper street, is wet. That street will never be developed. It's actually very wet. In the area in the upper part of that plan where the directional arrow is actually a swamp. So York Street is probably incapable of being developed. The existing setbacks for the house, which is 24.5 feet in width, it's 6.5 to the rear, 11.5 to the front, and 13.8 on the York Street side. The house that Mr. DeJesus proposes to build is 26 feet in width, and the existing setback on the Kelly side has actually been increased from 6.5 feet to 11.9 feet. On the opposite side, which is the York Street side, we're going closer because we tried to put the house closer to the wetlands than was existing. So the existing setback is 13.8 feet. The new setback will be 11.9 feet. And as I indicated, Mr. Chairman, the existing house is 24.5 feet in width. The new house is 26 feet in width.
Actually, it's wider than that, Bobby. You're actually 20 feet 9 is 29.4.
No, I apologize. He's correct. The actual existing width of the house in the rear is actually almost 30 feet. So the proposed dwelling will have less width than the existing dwelling. It will be a little bit higher. The existing dwelling's between 24 and 25 feet high. Our proposed height is 28 feet 10 inches. And if I do have a handout showing the remaining houses. One of you might have to share, so. Ray,
Yeah, they're building down there.
Tom,
Do you want?
Tony, you can keep that one, if you can share with Jackie.
Okay, and I'll keep this
Yeah,
one.
you can have it.
The first picture is actually a house under construction directly across the street from the Kelly, so this would be diagonally across the street from this house. The house under construction is 44 by 44 with a height of 32 feet 10 inches. The next picture is the existing house. In the area to the left, to the left of the fire hydrant, you can see the fence. It's got the growth on it, but the fence goes all the way through to the back of the lot. The area to the left of the fence would be the paper street, which is York Street. It's Mr. DeJesus' intention to A, take the fence down, and B, clean up the overgrowth in the area as best he can. Does have to file a notice of intent because he's within 100 feet of wetlands. He's already spoken to Mr. Hale of the Conservation Department about specific tree removal. The next picture would be the same house to the opposite side, and I would ask you to pay attention to the arborvitaes. You can see the fence on the other side, which actually belongs to the Kellys. The next picture is the Kelly home. In the left-hand corner, to the left of the vehicle, which is in the corner of the photo, the arborvitaes, which are along the fence in the previous picture. Kelly's garage is, I believe, 12.9 feet from their lot line. It's a pre-existing dwelling as well. And the next picture is the Kelly's dwelling, 2.5 stories as well. The next picture, the White Cape, which has a height of about 32.5 feet, is the house that is directly across the street from this dwelling. So if you walked out those steps, down that walkway, you'd walk right into this lot. So. The next picture is a picture of this dwelling. The dwelling to be removed, taken from the rear. There's also a street, Phillips Avenue, to the rear of the property. If you look at the existing plot plan, you can see the fence line across on Phillips. This picture was taken on that fence line. So that's looking in toward Taplin Avenue.
So is that the shed? That white building is the shed?
Yes. The smaller shed he's gonna remove, the larger shed he's actually gonna re-side, re-roof, and leave it there. It's actually in good shape.
Oh, okay.
Board members, any questions of the applicant or comments?
If I may, Mr. Chairman, before you entertain the board members' questions and comments, I would just submit to the board that the dwelling, the proposed dwelling, is certainly in fit with what's in that neighborhood. There isn't a single-family dwelling in that neighborhood. The height is consistent with what's in that neighborhood, and the use per the bylaw is certainly not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing house, which is an eyesore in more ways than one, so.
And I will add just at this juncture that the planning board in its April 4th meeting recommended unanimous approval of the application.
Yeah. We did toy with different widths of the house. The lot's only 50 feet, so it's obviously not going to conform at 20 feet. We toyed with 28 feet, and we decided that since we do need relief, that 26 feet would be a more palatable use than 28 feet.
And we're bringing it down almost 4 feet than what's there now.
So, was it ever considered to make it a 20-foot wide? Cause you have is it, am I looking at it right, 24.5 feet wide? Or is it
Well,
26?
The existing house is almost 30 feet wide. Our house is 26 feet wide.
What's 24.5?
That's the
That's
front. The back is actually bigger, Jackie. It's got, if you look in the back, as you look in the next plot plan, it's 24.5 feet in the front, and then it kicks out 5.2 feet in the back.
Oh, I got it.
So the actual width is almost 30 feet.
And it brings you 6.5 feet off the lot line right there.
And I think the good thing about this lot is it's got water and sewer.
Yeah.
I think the sewer, which takes away from any impact of ground elevation being extended up with neighbors being a lot congested. So I think that's a plus for the lot.
And I don't, honestly, to build a 20-foot house there it's a lot more difficult to design a 20-foot house that's in a box that's as palatable as this. And if you go to 20 feet, you can make it A, as long as you want, and B, as high as you want.
Yeah, and at that point at 20 feet, and to get the square footage, am I going 50 feet or more, which I probably wouldn't do, but at least consider 50 feet. So now at this point, we're keeping it 36 feet one side and 40 on the other.
You'd
Keep the
also,
square footage down.
I mean, if you also were to build a conforming house there, you'd be able to raise your roof height to 35 feet, so.
So trying to stay under everything.
And consistent with what's already in the neighborhood, so.
So I have a question, just because I don't have the knowledge of it. So the hydrant, is this the front here, the house?
Yes.
The front, right?
That
So-
hydrant is actually in the paper street.
So none of that gets affected with this build whatsoever, right?
And that street, Tom, as I indicated earlier, will never get built.
Yeah.
You can't really see it from these pictures. I should have taken one from the back that went into the woods, because everything, if you look at the,
That's York Street, right?
It is.
this is York Street. If you look at the very last picture on the handout, and if you look to the right, it looks like there's a white pipe in that picture.
A white pipe.
Oh, yeah.
Everything to the right, that white pipe is probably
Yeah.
at the edge of anything that's above wetlands. I mean, everything to the right of that is actually underwater, so.
Okay.
So would you say this is very similar to the house they just built on Main Street next?
Exactly.
2 houses over. Was that the same?
By the
Similar.
church,
Yeah, there's
by
a,
AAA Tire?
yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Is it the same width?
That
Is it-
house is, I think, 2 feet smaller.
And this house here you're showing that's being built across the street, the dimensions are the same as yours?
No,
it's-
that's,
That's much bigger.
That house is 44 feet by 44 feet.
Right.
And almost 34 feet high.
Wow.
But it's a bigger lot, right?
It's the lot's 13,000 square feet. This is 10. It's got more frontage. It's got the requisite frontage.
So you could actually build the 24-foot wide, because that's what they just did on, like, right 2 doors down from that house.
yeah.
Could you build 24 feet? Yes, but I guess my argument would be that 26 feet's not substantially more detrimental to this neighborhood than what's already there.
And if you'd go 24 feet just to try to keep that square footage, now I'm bringing the back to, 48 feet. Instead of trying to keep it not as long and keep it looking symmetrical at everything else in the neighborhood. And like the existing house as it is 24.5 in the front and almost 30 in the back.
Anything further? Anybody? All right, I'm gonna open it up to public comment. Anyone here from the gallery wishing to be heard on this application? Sir, could you please give us your name and your address?
Sean Kelly, 66 Applin Ave. I actually live right next to the project in question.
What's up, Mr. Kelly?
So I guess the width itself is certainly not an issue. It is, as they mentioned, it's actually about 6.5 or 7 feet close to the fence. They're going 11.9, which actually pushes it further away. That's not a question at all. I'm certainly not here to fight it, just trying to understand. Two things come up, I guess. We get water in our basement because, as Mr. Peterson mentioned, we're right there on the wetlands itself. I guess one concern from me would be if we are moving it back and not putting it directly on the foundation that's existing, how does that impact anything further? Do we get more water? Is there something put in place to stop that, I guess? The height is not a question either.
I will tell you this, it's interesting to me, that one concern is by far the biggest concern that everybody has when they come here
Sure.
to speak. They all wanna know about water in the basement.
Sure.
I guess the first thing I would say is that this board really has no jurisdiction over that, but the way I like to handle it is, if the applicant can give you some information
Sure.
that helps you, have at it, but I will just say, you have a very common concern.
Okay.
But that's not something that we deal with here.
Okay.
But since we're all here, Bob, if you know,
I'd be happy to address
you
that,
can address
Mr.
it,
Chairman.
then.
Sean, with this project, as with my project across the street,
Yep.
they're gonna have to file a simple stormwater management plan
Okay.
with the town under the current groundwater protection bylaw.
Okay.
You're not allowed to displace any groundwater, so your net discharge post-construction needs to be 0.
Okay.
And that gets reviewed by the town engineer.
Perfect.
It gets reviewed by the planning department, and when that submittal is made, I'd be more than happy to give you a copy of it.
Perfect. Yep.
Which now, there's no gutters on the house, and there's nowhere for the water to go but everywhere else. Now, with the new house, we would be containing all that water. And still, the foundation is, square footage is bigger than what we're offering now, so we're hoping that it would be less.
And the net still has to be 0. So all of, unlike, I think your house, your addition was put on before they had the groundwater protection bylaw, but under the new bylaw, all of your rooftop runoff has to be caught on the lot, has to be put underground
Okay.
in a tank.
Okay.
So there has to be 0 runoff, and it has to be right in your plan.
Okay. And then I guess the other question, setting 30 feet back, right now, standing in my yard, we look at the other yard and then the woods as, it's not buildable. So is there something, instead of standing in my yard looking at the back of a house, that we can maybe soften? I know you spoke
Yeah.
about maybe a fence, or like as Mr. Peterson said, we have arborvitae trees from our driveway, but then stops. So as opposed to looking at, if it is set 30 feet back and then the house then therefore goes back as it is a narrow lot, is there anything to soften up instead of just staring at a wall,
Maybe plant some
standing
more
out in center field,
arborvitae.
looking at the green monster, maybe softening up that blow as opposed to looking at, what we look at now, which is
Yeah.
just open air.
Yeah.
Which is kinda nice, but anything on that?
I think we could probably maybe work with some arborvitae or something and still,
And just continue
Yeah,
that down
continue
with
that
a-
down,
with a-
sure.
With a vinyl fence or something like that.
yeah, maybe we can work something out with that as well.
Okay.
I'm glad we'd work with anything.
Okay.
The existing arborvitae's on your property, or?
Yeah, we.
Yeah.
They're on your side of
They're
the
on
fence?
our
right?
side than the
I
fence.
thought
Yep,
so.
yep,
I
just
couldn't see
continue.
the fence.
Yep, perfect. Well, we put those there because, as you mentioned, it's.
The house.
It's a nice one, right?
It is a nice one, yeah.
So, yep.
Neighborhood harmony after respectful and informed dialogue. I love it.
There you go. Thank you.
Awesome. So,
Appreciate it.
I've hired a tree expert to come out just to note all the trees because, a lot of them do hang over.
Yep.
So I'm trying to work with that as well.
I gotta tell you, from looking at these pictures, sir, anything you look at is gonna be better than
Oh, yeah.
what's there.
Yeah.
But, okay, anybody else from the gallery wish to be heard on this? All right, going once, going twice. Public hearing is closed. I'll kick it back to the board for further deliberation and for any motion.
Can I just ask a few more questions?
Sure.
about this thing? So I just wanna make sure we're clear. So was it was originally 13.4 feet away from, is it the original?
Are you on the plan, Jackie, with the dash line that says existing on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, the original, right now, if you, on the York Street side, it's 13.8 feet.
From the front.
On the Kelly's side, it's 6.5 feet.
I think she's reading opposite.
She wants the front from Kaplan.
It's, right now, it's 13.4 feet.
And
We're
you've
making
got-
it conform.
And you're making it 30.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And we took,
I got
we added 6 feet to the offset on the Kelly side and took it off of the other, the swamp side.
you. Okay. Lot of numbers.
Anybody else? Anyone care to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, good, Tom.
All right, I'll make a motion to allow the special permit in accordance with 6.1.6.44 to demolish, reconstruct a non-conforming dwelling 30 feet from Kaplan Avenue, 11.9 feet from both side lot lines when 15 feet is required for the property located at 70 Kaplan, and also to improve the construction as noted in, how do I say that?
As presented.
As presented, yeah.
No more detriment.
No more detrimental.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second on that motion?
Second.
We have a second on the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, take
Thank
care.
you very much.
Thank you
Have
for
a good
being
night.
helpful in
Thank you.
addressing the neighbors' concerns.
Thank you.
Okay, here you go, Tony. There's the jacket on that.
Okay.
That concludes the regular applications for tonight's meeting. Do we have any administrative things you need to go through?
I'm sorry, I did not do the minutes, print them out.
That's probably fine, because when, next time Tony will be here, we'll have everybody to approve and or sign off.
Right.
So we don't have any minutes to deal with. Any other administrative things that we have to get into?
No, I already just talked about the 25th, so.
Correct.
When I get that all straightened out, I
Yep,
will
and I'll just note it
let
for
everybody
the,
know.
yep, I'll just note it for the record. I was in communication with Town Hall today. Town manager indicated that the meeting for the special town meeting has been put on for the 25th, which was the same day that we had previously scheduled to have our special meeting on the detox center, but those cannot happen simultaneously for space considerations and also considerations for folks that may want to attend both of those meetings. So we're gonna reach out to the applicant, find out if they can accommodate the next regularly scheduled meeting of the board,
Yeah,
which would be May 9th.
May 9th.
And if that can happen, then it will be then. But as of right now, it's still on for the 25th, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah,
but it's gonna be subject to change, because it just can't happen. It's gonna be an S show if we both are here that same night, so that's liable to be changed. And you'll put out notice if and
I will
when.
do it as, like I say, once I get into work in the morning, I will call the applicant.
Is the
obviously.
meeting for the 9th, how many cases are on for that? Only one case, so if the applicant for.
It's the groundwater for Main Street.
Okay, so if the applicant and Mr. Attorney Bobrowski can make it on the 9th, that would be very good, because
Right.
we're scheduled to have everybody here.
Right.
Okay, we're gonna try that. Be in touch with, stay in
Yeah,
touch with
and-
the website for the
And
Board of Appeals.
WCTV, I've been trying to stay in touch with Sean Neville.
Okay.
And
he wants to know.
he's gonna have everything that he didn't have the last time we met,
Who's he?
the applicant.
No, we're not, no,
No,
Tom.
no, it has
we're not,
nothing to-
Tom.
no, no, no.
Tom, we're
No,
not gonna get
I have a right to
into.
say this.
No, you don't,
I do,
because
I
it's,
do.
no, you don't, Tom,
I
because
do.
it's, look at, the applicant's not here. They're
No.
not on the agenda.
No, I'm not talking about
Tom,
the
I'm
applicant.
gonna rule you out of order, because we can't talk about an application that's not before the board. It's not in front of us, it's not on our agenda. We can't talk about what he's gonna have, if he's gonna be here, what's he gonna present to us.
Right.
All of that is deliberation, it's in violation of the open meeting law. I'm not gonna get there.
All right, so I'll make a general statement that I prefer that when applicants come before this board, that they have everything necessary in place so that we can vote on it.
Duly noted. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second on the motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.